Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. And before we get started, I do have a Kickstarter going on right now. If you're a fan of superheroes, go check out Like Father, Like Daughter. It's about a high school girl. Father left her to become a full-time superhero. Everyone in the world loves him except for her, and then she inherits his abilities. There's a lot of twists and turns as the series goes on as well. There's maybe some espionage, secret spies, and this is the grand finale of the series, so you could catch up with the rest of the series and see the big twist and cliffhanger at the end of this book and what direction this title will be going in after. Now, let's get into the haul here and the comics, and of course at the end of the video, we do the viewer's pick of the week, and yeah, let me know the pick of the week for you in the comments, and you'll have a chance to be featured on the episode. Now, this week I had a pretty average size haul. I think I had about 12 books, so that's always a decent size. And number 12 for me is Parker Girls, issue 6. Parker Girls is a book I want to love because I love Terry Moore. I love this world, but I felt very disconnected too. It was very similar to Serial, where I feel like they focus more on these murders and the espionage than the characters we already know and love, and I thought this would be a better opportunity to explore the Parker Girls outside of Kachu, and I don't feel like I've really been getting that or really any character development with this book. It really is mostly, honestly, it also reminds me of that 5 Years book that had to do with like the end of the world and these characters coming together, and I haven't loved that vibe for this book, and honestly I might drop it, which sucks because I really love Terry Moore's work, and I don't remember the last time I have dropped this any book of his, but I also don't know how long this is gonna be, so I haven't really been able to invest myself into it. But the artwork's always good. I love the black and white style for this one. So giving that 2 stars, and that is number 12. Moving on to number 11, which is Thor issue 32. And Thor, you know, I do feel like they're kind of like buying time right now with this book. The arcs don't really feel like it's moving towards anything too big. I'm curious why Dr. Doom is the main villain of this one, and I feel like it feels very disconnected to what Thor had been doing, and I feel like in moments like this I'd rather have a big character arc than the plot that we've been getting with Thor. The artwork is okay, but also not as strong as what we've been getting with previous Thor books, so overall giving that one 2 stars, and that is number 11. Moving on to number 10, I think you guys might be a little surprised that this is a bit lower, but that is The Unstoppable Doom Patrol, issue 1. As someone who has not really read much Doom Patrol, I've read issues here and there. I like Rita as a character, but I've never really gotten into Doom Patrol. I've probably read some Grant Morrison stuff, and I feel like that's what this book is sold on. The book's sold on people who already love Doom Patrol or people who like the TV show. I'm not really in either camp, and I don't really know if this was as new reader friendly as I think Dawn of DC really should have went. But if you've been looking for your Doom Patrol fill, I think you'll get it here. It's definitely a new direction, which is fun. The artwork works for this book for the most part, but I don't know if I was completely sold on it. So giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, another book that's kind of slipped down the ranking for me, and that is Daredevil issue 9. I like the ending of this book. I like the idea of Matt kind of being at his lowest and then seeing Foggy potentially die and just all this blood tracking him. But the route to get there was very slow. The artwork is very reminiscent to very old school Daredevil, but I don't think it works as well here. But you could tell that's kind of the style they're going for, almost like a Frank Miller style. And I don't know what took me away from that, but I definitely like the art style of what we gotten in the past than this issue. So overall, I give this one 2.5 stars. I've been wanting to like this newest volume more, but I just like the last volume a bit more, and then as we get to the end, you should feel this anticipation for the end, but I feel like it's just kind of gone out with a simmer. So like I said, that's 2.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, a book I was really looking forward to. If you watched my most anticipated video, I had it pretty high up, and that is The Ambassadors issue 1. It wasn't exactly what I expected. There's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of, this is what this book is about, without any real character drive, and that's something that always takes me out of an issue 1 if it's more ambiance based and less about a certain character, because there is an interesting premise. It's like, okay, how about if there was only 6 people in the world who had superpowers, who would it be? And then obviously this idea of the Cold War playing with actual superpowers. We've seen it before. It's an interesting concept, but it just didn't feel like there was anything new here. There was no hook for me. Obviously, the hook is supposed to be the creative team, and I love, the artwork, but it just didn't work for me this issue, and I don't know if it really gave me enough to want to read more. So giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Rocketman and Rocketgirl, issue 1. I got this on whim just because I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like a cool pulpy book. I don't know anything about these characters. Let me tell you, I probably should have known something about these characters going in. I didn't even know it was a one-shot. I thought it was like a new mini-series you could jump into. And it really treats you as you've known these characters before. Let's just jump into a random adventure. And as a newer reader, I didn't really get much from that. But I like that it was partners, romantic partners, actually fighting together. You don't really get to see that often from the beginning. Sometimes you'll have like decades of storytelling be like, actually, the girlfriend does have powers, or the girlfriend is a superhero, but never from the beginning. So I thought that was an interesting twist to the story. If you like pulpiness, you might enjoy this adventure. The artwork was okay for the most part. I think it fit the theme it was trying to go for, but maybe there could have been some stronger, brighter colors and stronger facial expressions. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Indigo Children, issue 1. And this one was a bit of a conflicting issue because the artwork was really nice and really gritty. And I think there was a lot of potential as, let's say, a movie or a TV show where you kind of have to continue to watch more. I feel like this issue is a little bit too much of a snippet and didn't really give a lot. And not in an intriguing way where I'm like, I need more. It was just like, okay, that was kind of there. So we get to see this kid who's really smart, kind of has a superpower, and him being of value to people. And there's this event that they showcase in this issue where someone got hurt, and they kind of explain maybe he wasn't a great guy, and you get like little tidbits of it, and how is this indigo child involved, and how's the world involved with this one event, and that's the story. And then we go like to a detective character halfway through the issue, and you completely change story, and you jump to a new timeline. I'm like, okay, this is way too much that's being thrown, but also not enough being thrown, where it was just harder to get into the issue and want to read issue 2, even though I think the style was fun and it had potential. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 6. I promise that was the last 2.5 star book. Moving on to my top 5, which I really did enjoy my top 5. So number 5 for me is Stargirl, The Lost Children, issue 5. So this is the penultimate issue of this series. And I think this is a little bit of a stronger issue where we get to see, we spend more time with the children and kind of get to learn who they are and how they're attached to other people. Like if you remember Secret, she's in here. We have the Jay Garrick's daughter. You also have the Hour Man ending that happens here. So it feels like there's a little bit more meaning to the characters than just like, here's random superhero number 2 like the last issue. So I enjoyed that more. I like the idea of Stargirl and Amiko trying to meet with each other and try to save Amiko. And I thought that was good. I like the art style. So I like this one as a point A to point B issue. Interested to see how it ends. It's a fun book if you like Stargirl, if you like the JSA. It's been a fun ride. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Power Rangers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, issue 4. That's a very long title. And I really like this. As someone who doesn't really love TMNT, I still can find enjoyment with the shout outs that are being told here and just the bigger moments, because I think that's what Ryan does there's 2 things that Ryan does such a great job at, and it's his dialogue work, and it works so wonderfully here with just some of the character interactions, some of the jokes that are placed here, and some really good character movement in this issue, all while a ton of action's happening. And then it's also those kind of shocking, surprising moments that dive into mythos a little bit more. We get to see Megazords. We get to see a different version of the TMNT Power Rangers that look more extreme and more exciting. And then you get to see our Power Rangers be mutants for a little while and what that actually means and how an actual person, if they became a dinosaur, how they would react. And there's a lot of great little nuggets throughout this whole entire book that's just so much fun, and just you could read it multiple times and probably find something new with it. And of course, with Dan Mora on art is just beautiful, especially with the character designs, the new costume designs, and you could just tell that these two creators play really well with each other. And just a really solid book. If you're looking for a fun crossover that celebrates both franchises really well by doing something new at the same time and doing something exciting, go check this out. So that is 4 stars for me, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3. I'm so happy this book came out, and it's Jeff, issue 1. I was a little worried because I was like skimming through the book and I was like, there's no words. And I always get a little worried about a silent book because I'm like, oh man, is it gonna go by really quickly? Is there much story? And let me tell you, this team does such a wonderful job at the silent storytelling. From page 1, there's so many little nuances in the art that just makes you chuckle and makes you laugh and makes you have a good time. The whole entire time I was reading this book, I just had the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, oh, look, there's, Hawkeye, there's Spider-Man. Oh, look what Spider-Man's doing in the background. Oh, look, Jeff made that facial expression. It's just such a cute book, and we need more books like this in general, and I'm glad that Marvel is doing something different, and I know this was originally a webcomic, and somehow also made it work as a comic book, and again, we need more of this to get even more people into comics. This has just felt like a very different side from Marvel, and I hope we get to see more, because I just had a complete blast, and I think Jeff is just such a lovable character, and this was a great way to showcase your Marvel universe, in a new and slice of life way. So 4.5 stars for me. Really, really liked it. This was a hard week for me for my top 5 because there's a lot of great books that came out. So in another week, this probably would have been my pick of the week. So that is number 3. And moving on to number 2, which is the premise of the title, and that is Dark Knights of Steel, issue 10, I believe we're up to. I made the statement of saying that this is Tom Taylor's best series yet, and I truly believe that. And every issue kind of reminds me why this is his best series, because he's such a master at Elseworlds. He's able to create voices for these characters, obviously characters we already know and love with Batman and Wonder Woman, and make them completely different and relatable to this world. And I feel like he just does such a great job at balancing that with the world building, with this bigger plot of this war that's happening, and everything's just perfectly balanced. And I feel like Yasmin does such a great job with the artwork here too, and Tom Taylor is blessed with so many great collaborators. But yeah, Yasmin especially got me when there's a scene where we just get to see Wonder Woman by herself, and we get to see Supergirl say, hey, it's ready to talk to Martian Manhunter, Your Majesty, let's go in. He's like, don't call me that, you can't be the one to call me that. I'm not ready for this. And just like the tears that are happening, the character acting is just so well done in this issue. And again, the plot moves really well. There's some exposition that happens here. If you already know stuff about Martian Manhunter, you're like, okay, I've seen this before. But the way it's written, you get into the emotions, and even though it's telling almost the I don't want to compare it to Superman, because I think more people know about Superman, but it felt like, okay, can you tell that Superman origin story over and over again and make it interesting still? And the answer is yeah. Like, look at stuff like All-Star Superman. That's a great example. And I think that's the placement that was being done here with the Martian Manhunter story. Like, I've seen this story before, but the way it was told, there was a lot of great emotion. And yeah, I honestly couldn't say more. I could go all day about this book and why it's so wonderful and why you should be picking it up. And this issue in particular, I think, does a great job of getting to point A to point B. Some really great beats here. So overall, giving that 4.5 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, which is Local Man issue 2. This book is so good. It feels really like the start of something new. And I love a good comic that moves, really gets into the plot and doesn't stall too much. And issue 1 really told us this is what the world is. This is why you should care about this character. A character that no one in this world cares about. And then issue 2 gives you just the right amount of information to say, okay, this world is building. And I think that's the craft of this issue, which is so interesting, is that it takes its time. it's not scared to stay in a scene for a while and let these characters talk, but at the same time feels like things are moving. So it feels like the world is building. And that's what this book does so brilliantly. And this issue in particular, it tackles a lot. We learn a lot about the character's past, the potential of why everyone hates him, the continuation of why everyone hates him, all while you're dealing with the present story of who killed this D-list villain that obviously could have been Crossjack. And he's like, no, I didn't do it. And then the scene with his mom, the villain's mom, was so interesting and really gets you into it. And you're like, okay, well, who did kill him? Now you care about the suspect. Or not, well, I guess you care about the suspect, but you also care about the person who died. Before, he was just like a guy he fought. And now you're like, no, now he's a person. And he's also, our main character is also dealing with, he has these hero instincts. He's a good guy, but the world's out against him. He probably did bad things. And he's like, how can I still be a hero? How can I use my powers for good, even though no one wants me to, and I literally can't use my costume? And again, there's just so much nuance in this book, from the facial expressions, the art, the noir art that is so gorgeous and beautiful, and really gets you into the emotional aspect of this book. And then just the storytelling as well. So awesome book. Love it. Issue 2, I'm already sold. I want more. It's already one of my favorite books on stands, and it's on issue 2. So giving that 4.5 stars. That is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite comic from last week. The comic was Vanish, issue 5. And here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.